Here's one of the best mini beasts you can find on a sunny day in the UK. A little zebra jumping spider. Look at that, he's even got his prey. Now he's got it blurry. Look at that. What a wee beastie, just a few millimetres long, but to a child's eyes really noticeable and quite a large creature. Zebra jumping spider. Look for them on a sunny fence, a sunny windowsill. Poor little blighter, being envenomated by an arachnid. How big is it? Oh, I'm gonna say, oh gosh, 5 or 6 millimetres long. That whole spider. A spider that's eyes are so good, it'll turn and look you in the eye. Very much like a praying mantis has that sort of ability. It certainly gives them makes them seem almost highly intelligent. Look at his beady eyes. Never mind the eagle squawking in the background. Wow. Come on, phone. Look at that. Who needs big game watching in Africa when here in an English garden you can watch predator and prey dancing the circle of life in miniature. What a fascinating little critter. You can keep slightly bigger ones from places like Florida in captivity, captive bred in the UK now. You know, they're probably 15 millimetres long, maybe more. Slightly bigger jumping spiders, fascinating pets. But get outside, go on a bug hunt, using that awful term because it is certainly not a bug or an insect, but go on a bug hunt in your garden and see what beasties you can find. Welcome back to the channel. I've taken an afternoon off this afternoon. I've spent the whole morning doing second fix electrical in what is the kitchen project that never ends. It just never stops giving work. Thanks to my mate Andy for actually coming and doing an awful lot of wiring up on the switches for the various lights that Jackie wanted in there. And now it's the afternoon. It's about 3 o'clock now. I've been out walking in the woods. Just thought I'd do a little video. It's boiling hot. It's 35 degrees. And I'm in the shade for now, which is an awful lot better. Let me just show you this little clip. I've just been sitting, chilling out, watching warblers and things in the reed beds. But some great little insects. Watch this clip. I'll put it on Instagram before, but have a watch of it. What a fantastic insect. But yeah, they bite. Let me try and show you some very painful insect. So excuse my hands. They've been very hard working hands lately and they get terrible eczema in this hot weather. These two guys here are splayed winged deer flies, and these are females, like mosquitoes, female clegg flies, horse flies or deer flies. They need a mammal, well, not a mammal, but they need the blood of another animal. Oh, there's one under my forearm. They need the blood of another animal to actually be able to lay eggs. The males and possibly the females at other times, they drink nectar, but the females need a blood feed for their eggs to become eggs to make young. They need that blood fix. So girls that they are, they're absolutely stunning flies. Look at that. I don't know whether it will go to a macro. I don't know. Look at that though. They've got great eyes, little yellow spots on in the right light. Splayed winged deer fly, you can see why they're called that at rest. They've got splayed wings. Let's just see. Well, there's not one on my forearm now. These guys have settled in. Deer flies and horse flies, clegs, they have much bigger, more powerful mouth parts than do mosquitoes. If you watch a mosquito feed, it's got a very fine proboscis, a very fine bit of kit for sawing its way and probing its way into your skin to get at the blood. If you think of a deer fly and a horse fly, these guys here, they've got to get through far tougher skin than what you or I have. If they can get through the skin of a horse, they need pretty substantial equipment, and that equipment is bloody painful when they bite us. And some of the bigger horse flies, the tabanus flies, the big ones, they bloody hurt, but all of them are incredibly sneaky. You hear the whine of a mosquito. These things, they make no sound. They make no sound. They're hard to kill. If you just casually swat them, you don't kill them. And they are persistent. Look at that little sod. They are persistent. These things chase you. You can get your hat off, waft it round like you're some giraffe tail, run and scream, whirling your hat around your head and body, and they will just not get caught by it, and they'll just keep following you silently. Sneaky, silent, biting bastards. One's had its feed, as you can see. I'll let this girl have a few more seconds, because I've got to tell you, this is a wonder of nature, but she's going to be shooed away in a minute. What a stunning, stunning animal of the damp, swampy places she is. So what do you reckon then? When I was a teenager, I used to go on holiday abroad. I'd gladly sit and watch a mosquito land. I'd watch it, I'm stupid really, because they do spread a few nasties, but I'd watch it fatten up to a bloater on my blood, and then I'd watch it kind of with its little wings, like a, you know, someone wobbling away from the pub after 20 pints. Used to fascinate me, and I've just done the same now. I don't normally make a habit of letting things feed on me nowadays. Luckily, I don't really react, very rarely. If we go away now, Jackie gets one mozzie bite, massive, like massive bruised, infected swelling. Either it's because they stop at her, she tastes nicer, and they don't get to the other side of the bed. But actually, all the times I've watched them feed on me, I might have a little itchy pimple the next day. Just don't react to them, thank goodness. My party piece always used to be, when I was a bit of a drunken youth, was when the wasps come round in the summer, just grab the wasps, hold in my hand, shake them and throw them at my mates. Cruel, I know, but they were unharmed. Luckily, so were my mates. I've been stung literally hundreds and hundreds of times. I used to do wasp nest eradicating, which I absolutely loathe doing. I've been stung loads of times handling wasps. I've never been stung handling a hornet ever. I've never played around their nests, but single hornets, never been stung ever, and I've handled quite a lot of those. And I think, you know, well, a good thing is, and honeybees and bumblebees, I'm immune to them. You know, it doesn't matter. And you hear these people have anaphylactic shock. Good job my mates weren't accustomed to that, susceptible to that back in the day when I was sort of a late teenager and silly. But I think, you know, I've got immunity. I've been stung by loads. I didn't realise that you can actually get these allergies actually often come through overexposure. Now, I've been a sun worshipper all my life. I've lived and worked in the sunshine in the Mediterranean for 2 years. My face, as you can tell from these videos, is wrecked from the sun. Yeah, I do wear sunscreen, but you know, I'm now quite allergic to the sun. I can have, when we first get the sun of summer, if I overexpose myself, I get a heat rash and everything, really, really bad eczema. And people die from getting stung by wasps that were wasp controllers, stung many times, no problem. So you develop allergies, often to overexposure. So I love watching wildlife, and that includes even splayed winged deer flies feeding on me. Ticks, no. Tried medicinal leeches. You can feel them gnawing and scraping through your flesh when you're watching them. When you're busy out in Southeast Asia, let's say, and you get a leech on your leg, or you're looking for snakes or whatever in damp ground, you don't notice it. When you literally watch one on your forearm, you can actually feel it scraping through. Not pleasant, but ticks, never. They're too dangerous in this country, and they're the thing that I just don't like in nature. Ugh, bless them. I don't want them all eradicating, just keep them away from me. So we're out and about. It's really, really hot. If you don't follow me on my falconry side of my life, the Falconer Gathering is in Northamptonshire. That is 19th and 20th of September. Get on the Facebook group here if you're interested in that, interested in birds of prey, interested in falconry. It's not just for falconers like me. Falconry is a form of hunting. It's a form of supplying ethically sourced meat to the table, far and away more ethically sourced than anything you buy from a supermarket, by far and away. But it's also for anyone that keeps or studies or is involved in, just loves birds of prey in general there. So put that in your diary if that's your thing. It's a great get together. It's 3.0, so we've done 2 successful ones. This is the 3rd year. The reptile side of things, I've just been slimming down still, but I've still got Nigel Marvin. He's gonna collect in another month my male breeding false water cobbler, because I'm not going to breed those anymore. I want him to go to a good home. Have a look at this. I've lived in this village now 5 years. I've never seen that not run. True drought conditions. not good for wildlife. My pair of black rat snakes are still for sale on my website. They'll be the last ones. I'm just downsizing, making some life changes for next year. Oh, the four-line snakes, which are beautiful European species that I've grown on and bred. Those guys there, they're taken for. They're going off to Liverpool Reptiles. He's going to take those on. So a bit of downsizing on the reptile side of things. What else can I tell you? Other than the fact it's freaking hot, one thing that has concerned me lately, and I have posted this on Instagram, is I notice this every day in my job. You can sell from a conservationist point of view, and I don't mean sell, you can sell the idea of protecting pretty, fluffy and furry things much easier than you can get any kind of backing or awareness for maybe slimy or legless things, or things with too many legs. So what shocked me from a recent talk, I had a talk with 30 kids recently, and they got their parents or grandparents with them, and I said, hands up if in the harshness of winter you feed the little birds in your garden. And it was about 3/4 of these people put their hands up and said, yeah, of course I do, we feed the birds, we love them. And then I said, throughout these months of drought and the hottest ever July, and you know, just the heat and drought in this country, throughout these months, hands up if there's always a source of water in your garden, whether it's a pond or just a large plant saucer, a source of water of any kind for wildlife, put your hands up. It was about 1/4 of the audience. Because people think of the pretty little birds and they want them in their garden. So when they're hungry in the winter, they feed them. It is brutal out here, brutal out here. You know, the fruits and the berries are fully ripe. Plums on my wife's plum tree, the blackberries in the garden, and all sorts of everything else in the countryside. We're way ahead. We're like, you know, it was like the full midsummer's end a month ago. If you're an animal that cannot fly, if you're an animal that cannot go too far, and if you're an animal that drinks from puddles and ditches and ponds, what the hell have you been drinking for the last few months? If you're an animal that eats worms and slugs and snails as your mainstay, or beetles, what have you been eating for the last few months? I would imagine that food has been in very short supply, but the water has been completely unavailable. So hedgehogs have probably had one of the worst breeding years ever in the UK. Hedgehog rescues are inundated with dehydrated and dying hedgehogs. They're starving. They eat soft-bodied food. They can get a lot of moisture from their food. They can't if the worms aren't there. I saw a blackbird on my lawn the other morning, and I just thought, good luck finding a worm. You're not going to find a worm. I imagine the fact that blackbirds have been suffering the last few years with a fatal disease that's spreading like wildfire through their species and killing them off, that backed up this year with an absolute unavailability of worms and slugs within reason. And what are they going to be feeding their kids, even if they can find enough insects for themselves? There's not a lot about. That's got to be devastating to these animals as a species. It really has. Blackbirds this year must be really suffering. Interesting to see how they go through the following spring. And if you see plenty in the winter, don't forget our blackbirds population is massively grown in the winter from birds from places like Scandinavia, migratory blackbirds. They're not your garden blackbirds, they're not British ones, they're only here for the winter. Next spring will be the real tell. Shocking. Moles. Moles eat almost exclusively worms, and they need to be able to burrow through the soil. One of those deer flies is back on my hand, eating me again. So moles have been turning up above ground, probably just desperate for water, desperate for food, and then they can't get back underground. They can dig, they are so strong. If you've ever held a mole, it'll blow your mind, but they can't dig through concrete ground. There was a mole turned up at the Falconry Centre, and one of the staff messaged me, said, Dave, we've got a mole, don't know what to do, it's running around on the ground, on the grass. And I said, take it down the woods to the shadiest, coolest place you can find, and let it go in the thick undergrowth so the tawny owls don't see it. Hopefully there's a bit of loose soil it can get in. Can't we keep it? No. by the time you've sorted out housing and enough worms, it's going to die. How would you feed it now? How are you going to get enough worms? They're not easy to keep, moles. You can keep them, but they're not easy to keep. And in the meantime, it forced its way out of the tub it was in and scurried off anyway. Who knows how it got on? But just, you know, the unseen stuff, some of it's been devastated by our conditions this year in England, but most people don't care. They don't care about moths or moles or hedgehogs. They don't see them. Badgers have been massively, locally, massively ripping up things like golfing greens. And the reason is their main food is also worms. They eat all kinds of things, including hedgehogs, yes, they really do. But their main diet is worms. We're on a hosepipe ban. You can't sprinkle your lawn, but illegally golf courses can use a hosepipe and a sprinkler, as can some big gardens, commercial use. You've got wet grass, the worms are near the surface, the ground's still soft, it's getting watered every day. The badgers are coming, travelling decent distances at night to access this food supply, which involves ripping the hell out of those greens. It's a thing. They're starving too. And whatever you think about them, you know, they're wildlife and they're hungry. I tried to make a hole in the ground, an 8-inch hole, 10 millimetres wide, and I used a long masonry drill bit, a 2-foot drill bit, and a massive lump hammer. I got it in 6 inches. I gave up in my lawn. In my lawn. I didn't drill it in my lawn. I just used a hammer to smack it in to make this hole with. Ow. And it's like concrete out there. So there's so much unseen stuff. A friend of mine, John, I don't know what he hasn't told me what he was doing in this, paddling in this tunnel, but he was in this tunnel with water under it. Look at these they're called old lady moths, en masse. I think they're estivating. They're sitting out the summer heat, the opposite to hibernating, because it's dark permanently in here, and it's cool and humid because there's water content in there. I've Googled it and spoke to moth experts, and it is a thing. Other people have seen this phenomenon. I've never seen this. So one of their other names is the black underwing. You might have heard of a red underwing moth. It's a big moth, big moth. These are very similar to look at until you look under their wings. But I've never seen this phenomenon. How amazing is that? Very, very interesting behaviour. Animals are having to do different processes to survive the heat, for sure. Even things like toads that don't venture into a pond outside the breeding season. In fact, most of them migrate well away from their breeding ponds. Even things like toads will come to water at this time of year to rehydrate. Hedgehogs, everything. If you haven't got a pond, a wildlife pond in your garden, please, for God's sake, just get a decent size plant pot tray. Keep it permanently full of water, usually under a little bit under not in the middle of your lawn, out around the edges where animals forage. In the shade, it will stay full for longer. Guys, don't tell me your water butt's empty so you can't put rainwater in there. Just fill it with tap water. It will make no difference. Not even to the frogs that plop in there. No difference at all. They will be just fine. Chlorine will evaporate within a few hours, as will the water, hence why you're going to need to keep filling it up. Some things like chloramides will stay in there. They'll be fine. But you can Google that. So you can actually Google your local water company. What does my local water company add to my water, my drinking water? And it will literally, by law, they'll break it. You'll sit on Google. They'll tell you. Chloramides stain the water, chlorines disappear. Fluorides and chlorides, chloramides, they're not so good. They'll be fine though, honestly, for this purpose. And chlorine, don't worry about it, it'll evaporate, it won't hurt them. I've been keeping these things all my life, believe you me, they'll be fine. Having some water in your garden, oh, what a lovely breeze, is way better than having none at all. You're gonna save animals' lives. You're being a conservationist without even thinking about it. You really are. Your garden is a massive, 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 if it's done right, part of the British landscape. All our gardens combined take up way more acreage than all the British country parks put together. Way more. I can't remember the figure. It'd be something like 5 or 10 times or more. It's ridiculous. You know, the gardens are an important refuge, so don't have astroturf and gravel and nothing else, concrete. You can seriously, in your garden, be a practicing conservationist that will make a massive difference. Hawthorn, that's a good one to have. a wildlife pond, no goldfish or any other member of the carp family. Guys, make a pond out of a washing up bowl. I say that every weekend on my talks. Some permanent water source will make a massive difference. And if you've got kids or grandkids, it will bring your garden alive. And think about what you plant, you know, different plants that work so well for nectar throughout the year. Buddleia, not British. Ice plant, not British. Both of which will be important nectaries, despite the fact they're non-native, to the insects in your garden through different times. Comfrey, plant comfrey, my God, that's brilliant for the little bumblebees. And it has a long flowering period. Right, I'm going to brave the sunshine now and we'll go from there. Just do your bit, do something to help for sure. Pay attention to the things that you might not see, care about the things that you might not like the look of. I wouldn't want those splayed winged deerflies to go extinct. I've found them quite interesting this year. I've never even noticed one. I'm 50 odd years old until this year. And that's the beauty of nature. There's never ending discoveries. There just is never ending discoveries. So, something on the nature kind of side. Jackie and I went on a beekeeping course a few years ago. Always wanted to keep a beehive. She brought me a beehive and all the kit ages ago. And then we put it into practice, and we've had those bees at the Falconry Centre now for a couple of 3 years. I've just not had them, like everything else, no time to do them. They're just doing their thing. They're getting overpopulated and they're swarming away, and the colony will grow again, and then there'll be too many and they'll swarm, half of them will swarm away, and so on, and it does weaken the colony. So I've been very happy that my friends Andy and Lynn, Andy's the guy that's been helping me with the kitchen, said they're really interested in thinking about getting a beehive and beekeeping kit and study it. I said, you don't need to spend any money on that. I'd rather he and she enjoys them and makes honey and studies them and learns about them than me walking through them and past them a couple of times a week thinking I really need to crack that hive open. So the bees are probably going to go, they're not going to go far, and I'll still get to see them. And something we've never done is take honey from them. I might even get the chance to do that. So dates for your diary at the Falconry gathering, things to do if you haven't already. Comment below. Have you got a permanent source of water in your garden? Yes or no? Let me know, but please do that. And if you've got kids or grandchildren, for goodness sakes, do it with them. Teach them about conservation, tell them why we're doing it. Above all, get them off the bloody screens. Look at this, a tiny black ladybird, not seen one of these for ages. This little guy's 3 millimeters long, maybe a smidgen more. Oh, what a little beauty. Look at him go.